I am Anil Balchandani. I am Parti Liyani's defense counsel, as well as her counsel at the appeal. It was a very, very difficult trial, not just because we knew it was going to last, 10 months. It was a very difficult and long-drawn trial because of the sheer number of items that we had to deal with, or at least I had to deal with. And I didn't have any assistance, so I had to rely on a well-managed or well-accounted for set of documents, understand Parti's instructions clearly. We were up against a very tenacious set of prosecutors. We also were up against a very prominent family. And we didn't have a robust defense. And what I mean by that is we didn't have a defense that was based on photographs that Parti had taken. In fact, one of the downsides of our case is Parti, as a person, just never really took a lot of photographs of herself to identify, look, I had these items, I bought these items, I shared these photographs with whoever it was. So we had that so-called limitation. And the High Court appeal was also long. It took, and has taken 3 full days of appeal. I think this maybe memorable or most lucky point that we had was we asked the court to have all the items presented before it, because usually all of this is done at the trial level, but at the appellate level it's more oral, and the court agreed, and that allowed us to present to the court what you can't see in pictures. So the condition of the items, the clothes, the rags, the very old DVDs, or DVD players, sorry, the earrings, the jewelry that was outdated. You could see in a photograph, you could see in a color photograph, but you don't really appreciate until you see it. And slowly we were, able to inch forward, because each item had its own story. Each item had to be explained, etc., etc. And of course, the prosecution had its own side to the story. And we had to basically convince a judge that, look, why would someone steal junk? But let me say this, moving away from the legal side, I will say that I was surprised with Parti's resolve. Because, someone in her shoes generally faces more than just the pressure from the legal system. There is a family that she has to take care of, probably living expenses in Singapore, then just the inability to talk to anybody, friends, probably no friends, or a lot of folks who may not understand what she's going through. And so the surprise was that she was able to hold fort up to now. Because if you look at Parti's case, if she had pleaded guilty at the first mentions or shortly after the offer was given in 2017, she would have been at home now, 2.5 years down the road. Or perhaps even quicker, because the offer was for just a couple of charges, or at least 1 or 2 charges. And she could have restarted her life, continued working in another country, and just thought about what happened in 2016, 28 October 2016, when she was dismissed as just a bad dream, So what is different is, unfortunately, a lot of foreign domestic workers don't know their rights. don't have, I guess, that courage, and necessarily are financially strapped. I mean, you to fight a case, you need, well, not that you to pay a lawyer, but you need to at least have some way to sustain yourself without, without lowering your dignity. And that's where I think that power of that home team came in. It was a group of very dedicated, in fact, mostly women, who believed also in Liyani's innocence. And I kind of also knew, that I had the support from home. So we made it a point to meet every week, even if there was just 1 or 2 action items to be done. But that regularity or routine kept the tasks on target. And I think it also, to some extent helped Parti move along, not move along, but sort of continue along the path. She knew that we were kind of on top of this. And also, I think the other part is to assist Parti in also being confident in court. I think a large part of, one of the problems with dealing with FWs, foreign workers and foreign domestic workers, is that they have to present their case, their story in court, and a lot of them are not either confident, or they come off as being very not underconfident, just unprepared also. It's a daunting process being cross-examined, and it's easy to say I don't know, or it's easy to say I forgot. And when you say things like that, even though you have an inkling of what the answer is, you come off as being not credible. And so as we approach, I guess, Judgment Day, which is on the 4th of September, I think I just have to remain somewhat neutral, and you have to necessarily accept the wisdom of the court, and how it has decided either, necessarily against you, or against the person who is in the dock. I've always had this impression that when you have, I think, about 1 million people here who are foreign domestic workers and foreign workers without proper representation, I'm talking about, at the political level, you are going to run into problems down the line, and problems down the line end up being problems with our justice system, where you are, or it's where foreign domestic workers or foreign workers just don't know what they're up against. They don't know who to turn to. They feel that it's convenient, or they are given the impression that it's just convenient to apologize and plead guilty, and they'll be sent home, which is what they really want, after a little while of being accused and interrogated. And that in itself is an injustice. I mean, it sounds good when we are able to technically solve a case, right? When I use the word technically, I try to mean that, it's, you've found a guilty person, but may not really be that that is the right person, or may not be even a crime. Just sort of a blank or bald accusation. And so, while we protect these vulnerable workers under our penal code, if harm is done unto them, our criminal justice system doesn't necessarily protect them when there's an accusation against them. Now, it's easy to say the criminal justice system is busted and we need to fix it, but I think as we move forward and as we get a little more advanced as a nation, we need to realize that the system as we envisioned it doesn't cater for these unrepresented folks. I'm talking about politically unrepresented. And the reason why I say that is with proper representation, these issues are naturally adjusted or heard. But without this representation, you don't know until something terrible happens. If I could say, lawyers like myself who work on pro bono matters do some work, but the real work is done by a lot of these NGOs. That's the real jawbreaker or the backbreaking activity, meeting with them every week, every month, giving them that not incentive but hope that something good can happen.